Hello and welcome to the Wrestling Headlines review for the Royal Rumble 2023. My name is Maher, aka Imp, and it's 5:30 in the morning. There's a bloody lot to talk about, as you can tell by the graphic that's next to me on the right hand side. We're starting with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. I'm not even going to hesitate. All of my stuff is here on the video. All of my links, all the things, all the Twitter stuff, the Twitch stuff, the Facebook stuff, the website. It's all there. Just read it. I've got to bloody get into this because this is such a long show of stuff to dive into and talk about. Bloody hell! So first of all, show overall, massive thumbs up in terms of like Triple H's first stab at a Royal Rumble as we kick onto the road to WrestleMania, and I'm not really comparing this to like in terms of like all-time greatest kind of stuff. For me, it's specifically to last year, because last year's Rumble was piss poor. Don't know if that counts as a swear. I'm English. Forgive me, YouTube. But I genuinely, like, compared to last year, like, Jesus Christ. Last year's show was very flat, and I like to rewatch the Rumbles. That's my kind of thing. Royal Rumbles aren't just an annual event. I enjoy them so much, especially this time of year. I'll come back and I'll watch loads of Royal Rumbles. So like coming into this show, I've just been bulk watching so many Rumbles. I just really enjoy the matches. It's one of my favourite things in wrestling. However, we then get to last year's Royal Rumble, and when I watched it, it's like, oh god, it's even flatter than I remembered. It's just a whole almost hour of boring nothingness before you then get the Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, actually perfectly decent final two. But before that, it's a very flat Rumble with very nothing in the middle, and there's the guy who put it all together was let go for a reason. Genuinely, I'm even more down on last year's Rumble than I was when I watched it. So when it comes to this year, the most recent Rumble, the one that I'm comparing it to, is very, very flat. So for me, in terms of progression, I was like, well, am I excited for WrestleMania? Am I excited going forward? Did I just at least enjoy the Rumbles? Did they set up enough or whatever? And yeah, massive thumbs up. In terms of like what the Rumble is meant to do, it's not meant to be an event where it's like, oh, we got these shock returns, that was nice, and then move on from the night afterwards. It's like, well, they're not there now. So what do we do with the actual shows themselves? This Rumble it seems like its main focus was to showcase the talent, give them a stage to do something, and also build to later down the line for WrestleMania. Like in both matches, there was a ton of building for later stuff down the line, be it Becky Lynch and Bayley in the women's match, be it Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley in the middle of the men's match, or all the little different character tweaks there. There was the Edge versus Judgment Day kicking off once again. There was, Dominic Mysterio, amazing heat. He gets so much better and better. And of course, in terms of direction for what's coming next, there's the main event. I feel like I have to get out of the way first. And I know the Royal Rumble, I tend to prefer to talk about the Rumble first, but no, this occasion, just got to bloody get on with it with the main event. For the undisputed WWE Universal title, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Roman Reigns joined by Paul Heyman, and more importantly, Sami Zayn. For this match had a great big time feel to it. The final test for Sami Zayn. A main event to elevate Reigns' status, to deliver on the Sami Zayn WrestleMania trigger, or just to send fans home either happy with a Rock return or sad with a kicking off of the angle what's going to be WrestleMania. Yeah, Rocky didn't show up. It was something much not good for Sami. But it says a lot how invested the crowd were in this match and the aftermath to it. Like you get tired crowds when the title was main evented after just one Rumble in the past, be it the one where it's Shawn Michaels Undertaker, be it weirdly Kurt Angle versus Mark Henry, so you could do an Undertaker return. Like whenever it's been done in the past, it's been a weird vibe about it, and normally you get quite a tired crowd. Here they were into everything. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that they are actually tired. It's the main event started 3.5 hours deep into a show that's also had 2 Rumble matches which are known to drain the audience, which is why they normally main event. Like normally what comes on afterwards, they just need a bit of a refresh, which, to be fair, is probably why Hardy was where he was, because they wanted fans to have the energy for this match. Instead, let them have a piss. let them get refreshed by a countryman doing a song. And he does his little sing song. And then we're all refreshed, ready for the main event, especially as Kevin Owens' entrance is so long as well. Like, before the match actually starts, you've had a minute. You've been able to like refresh your brain, recover a little bit before we actually get into the main event. But for me, that says a lot. It was a tired crowd that deep into a show, and they were onto every single beat of this match. Like every swing and fall, they were right there. Like they were eating out the palm of their wrestlers' hands. Like full hype and energy for this. And for me, it speaks so much to the quality of the arc that the fans are this invested. Like it's not just Roman and Sami that's over. It's everyone in the Bloodline melodrama. Everybody involved is over. Anyone who falls into its void, where they do like a temporary pay-per-view build, at the moment, all those people are over. And this match itself was the exact flow that was needed. But you were watching, you were like, I was sitting there just waiting. Like, when does he get involved? As you point at any shot in this match, and there's Sami Zayn in the background of every one of those shots. Just like almost just like ready to pounce. He's ready to go. He's perfectly ready. You're just waiting the entire match. And I will probably say that I am not the best judge for this, given that this match started at 4:30 in the morning. However, just the way for this match, it took me a minute to actually get into the main flow of it. And by the time it got to the Sami Zayn moment, right, I'm ready. They timed it perfectly for when I'd been most paying attention for the Sami stuff. Like, the referee goes down, and suddenly the moment is upon us. Roman ordering Sami to get a chair, but the slight hesitation from him is enough for Owens to land a surprise stunner. The crowd on their feet for the close fall, and Roman's fight back into the match, ending in disbelief after a spear kick out, leading to Sami crying for Kevin Owens to just stop and stay down and give up. We had a spear through the barricade where Kevin Owens just then rolled out of the ring so he couldn't be pinned, rolling out of the ring to Sami's feet. Roman, who was back near the barricade, other side of the ring, lands at Sami's feet. And Sami, when Kevin Owens tries to get towards him, Sami nervously looks over to Roman Reigns to see that Roman Reigns hasn't accidentally seen Kevin actually trying to get to him. This led into a couple of brutal slams on the steel steps. Just the steps staying where they are. Roman grabbing Kevin Owens' head and just slamming it into the steps. Like, good God. Jesus. Like, one looks bad enough, two and he's dead. Good God. A semi-fight back, but KO was done. Spear for the win. Now the real drama can begin. So that's the thing with these matches, is often the matches themselves are... Like, they can be exciting enough. They work pretty well on TV as well, just because you cut out a lot of the talking drama stuff you get in a main pay-per-view match at times. But it's just the actual flow of the drama stuff around it is, for me in terms of wrestling, it's been a really long time since I actually cared about the dynamic of each of the characters within the group. I say wrestling, I mean specifically WWE. It's happened in New Japan in the most recent past as well, and I don't think this is on the level of like the drama I felt with the Kenny Omega Kota Ibushi stuff, but the fact that people have had discussions of if they continue to build correctly, because that's the other thing as well, that's over the course of like years and years of consistent build. They don't have that here because the guy beforehand didn't do things past 3 or 4 weeks, never mind 4 years. But this is like consistent character building. And he's had the benefit of Roman at least receiving that, Jay at least receiving that with the Usos. So by the time Triple H comes into power, all he's got to do is keep the cards he's been handed with the whole Sami Zayn thing, which started off as a possible quick comedy thing that could end at SummerSlam, and instead grew and with consistency and introducing Solo Sikoa really, really well into the group as well. Each character has their own unique dynamic within the group, and all of the different relations and the way they act as well. The arc with Jey Uso with Sami, done so well, really hammered home under the Triple H run of like Jey Uso just not trusting him whatsoever, and it wasn't until the moment at War Games where Jey presented him on Night Raw, that's when he bought into it. For me, this is every single week using your TV time to just build upon the different layers within the group and all the different dramas in there as well. It's just consistency. This isn't, obviously, absolutely incredible world-building, best thing you've ever seen on TV. What I mean is it's consistent and you care about the characters, which in WWE, it's been a long time. I don't even know when I could last... I don't even think it's in WWE. You're probably talking maybe WCW with the NWO, early NWO, I guess, when you different dynamics in the guys of that group. But I guess, because I don't think... I'm going back to the 90s. Be it whatever. It's been this long since it's been a group where you felt the different dynamics of all the different guys within the group, and for me, that speaks absolute volumes to the level that we're seeing here. For WWE, this is by far just the best thing that they've. The thing I've been most invested in a really long time. I can't even think the last time I cared this much about an arc. Because the closest you get is Daniel Bryan, but that wasn't on purpose. That was a weird pushback against the audience, and eventually they gave in to the audience and like, fine, we'll do this. That wasn't the plan. This whole thing with Sami Zayn is seemingly, this is the plan, and they are sticking with it. Even though they seemingly don't have The Rock, or even if they do have The Rock, it doesn't matter, because you can still do the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match versus the Usos, because there's that relationship with Jey Uso. We'll get to the aftermath. So with all of that said, the actual drama here, where again, all of this, it relies on all of those months of build, so you know all the different dynamics between all of the characters. This is what I mean by like the consistency of stuff. This is basic TV stuff. We just haven't seen it in wrestling in so long. AEW started to do it as well. We saw the different dynamics between the Elite with their split. But here, just to see it in WWE on this level, just that consistency of how each character reacts to the other one. You know the dynamics of that group, and you know how they relate to Kevin Owens specifically for this match. And Sami refused his honouring, because this was the final test for Sami Zayn, and they're about to honour him. But before that, there's one more deed. The Usos together beating down KO, like a stark reminder of who Sami Zayn is aligning himself with. Like, he says he cares for this bloodline, for this group, but these are the kind of people that they are. Wrapping a chair around KO's head, Solo Sikoa charging with the Yamaga hip attack, and Sami Zayn, like, he's raising a hand, like he wants to stop them, but he just cannot bring himself to do it. Sami watching on as they handcuffed Kevin to the ropes with an amazing Paul Heyman bit, where he's like, "You ask for handcuffs, my tribal chief. I deliver them," like such a kiss up. And it's one of those where you can't wait for the day where every single decision Paul Heyman makes is for the good of Paul Heyman, and whichever way he believed Roman Reigns would be swinging, which is why it's so hard on Sami, because he so strongly believed Roman Reigns would swing that way, that he's going to slip up because he's so on self-preservation and he doesn't actually care for the good of the bloodline. And eventually that will like show itself, and if we do see slight splits and things, yeah, Paul Heyman's going to get it. He'll keep telling Roman what he wants to hear, but eventually Roman Reigns will wake up, and that's a good arc, a good little arc there for him. But Roman Reigns, in the beating, they handcuff him to the ropes using those handcuffs that Paul Heyman so kindly fetched. Super kick after super kick after super kick, and just when enough is surely enough, Reigns steps forward, chair in hand, and tells Kevin Owens that in disrespecting Sami Zayn, he's disrespected family, because Sami Zayn is one of them now. He's one of the bloodline, and if you disrespect him, you disrespect the entire bloodline. So what's going to happen next is in honour of the respect for Sami Zayn. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. But in hearing those words, that's what gives Sami the courage to step forward and stop the beating on his behalf. He's like, oh, you're doing this for me? Suddenly, that's enough to convince him. He's finally able to pluck that courage and step up to Roman and say, you don't have to do this for me. He's finally able to stop the beating. There's the crowd hanging on every beat as Roman instead holds up the chair for Sami to deliver the blow. He's like, this is it. This is the moment. This is the final test. Just him giving him the chair, just manipulating Sami to go like, go and do jackass shit. Oh, an amazing line. Like, and he just sat with him with the chair like, is he going to do it? and also the staging so perfect to give you a hint that Sami might hit Roman. Just that slight turn as Roman talks more trash to Kevin Owens and then talks back to Sami Zayn. Like, Roman, my favourite thing within that is Roman never stops doing his action. He didn't go, oh, let's pause, we're in position, I'll say a line, and then I kind of robotically turn around. It's like, no, he's constantly talking at Kevin Owens and then turns around to continue to talk to Sami. But we, the audience, had the beat. It's like, oh, yes. That's exactly how you do it. And then, good God, when Sami did hit Roman, there was no hint of the beat. It was just it was continued flow after that, and then bang. Jesus Christ, the explosion from the crowd when he did so. They absolutely erupted when Sami hit Roman across the back. Like, finally he was like, I can't do it. I cannot beat down my best friend for so long like this. And the first person he turns to is Jay. It's like, oh, just little details in here. The first person he turns to is Jay. Immediately it's like, this is not me turning on you, whatever. I'm sorry, I just could not do this. That was we were crossing a line. But Jay screams at him in heartbreak, like, what, you've turned on the family. What are you doing? And the bloodline with a full-on pummeling as Jay just watches on. Sami is flat out on the mat, getting his ass absolutely beaten. Chair shots where Solo Sikoa doing what he threatened on Monday, executing the Sami murder. It's like, oh, but it's just the fact that whilst they're doing that, Jay just watches on. Like, he was the genuine believer. He himself refuses to join in on the beating, instead leaving, and he did doing so to an amazing pop from the crowd as he's walking down the ramp. They were so with Jay on this one. This is not Jay turning face. It could easily use it to have Jay turn face. This is him currently refusing to join in on the beating of Sami Zayn, because this is closer to family heartbreak for him. He properly convinced himself of the love for Sami Zayn, which means when he does start beating down on Sami, there's so much more to it. This is not Jay's turned face, he's also going to turn on the bloodline. Like, no. He's the most broken out of all of them from this. He's going to give him the worst beating when it actually happens. It's like, oh, yes, just holding that back. Because that's the hook. The question of, is it a good fitting ending for this little arc here, if Sami Zayn doesn't beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? My personal thing is, if you continue to do this constant character work with all the different dynamics and everything, it doesn't have to be the end of the arc. As in, this will be obviously the end of this act, but you can use this to then propel Sami even further if you do want to. You can still do Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn, and then there's probably a chance that they do it in Montreal, because that's the key thing here. Elimination Chamber, the next pay-per-view, is in Montreal, and with the asterisk that the Usos cannot be there because of their DUI history, so they're not allowed to enter the country. So you're guaranteed an Uso-less match if you do a Sami Zayn Roman Reigns thing. So the dynamic is already the potential friend of Sami will not be there. I don't know what kayfabe reason they'll give it on TV, but you know ahead of time, like, Jay can't be there. So how are they going to play this up? We got Sami in truly dangerous waters. But you can use that to build up the drama for Sami and KO teaming up against the Usos. Because yeah, it's not Sami versus Roman Reigns, but it is Sami versus Jay. Like, that drama is all there. And like, I'm not doubting for 1 second that the crowd is going to be so incredibly into that tag team match. Just KO and Sami versus the Usos. Like, we've obviously got months more of consistent build stuff, but right now, like, Jesus. I don't doubt for 1 second that the crowd are going to be massively into the staring between Jay and Sami. Just knowing that bond is still there in spite of everything, but he can't be forgiven. It's like, so good. So obviously, this is me assuming they'll continue the same level of continuity that they have for these months previously, because if they're still related to the bloodline in this, even if for WrestleMania you switch gears a little bit, because of course Cody Rhodes won the Rumble, you got to build to that match as well. You risk a little bit with Kevin, because Kevin Owens a little bit felt like a side character in this story. Come the night, it felt like a huge match. It still really worked. Part of it is like the card pacing presentation, to just really present it as a big deal. because the fans were into the match and everything to do with it, Kevin Owens himself got elevated, even though he didn't feel like the main character in his own title match. It was like, oh, that's a shame. But yeah, the crowd, they were so into this. Roman laying in the shots as he now blames Sami for, like, you broke my family. He's laying in those shots. Like, he is all at fault for Jay doing this. It's like, oh, yeah, absolutely love it. Fuck you, Roman, raining from the crowds, ringing round the Alamo Dome. And production rightly turns that shit up. Right up. So you can really feel the aura of that happening. And on that moment, that's when, shortly after, they leave the ring. And you see Sami Zayn with the petals all over the ring. Kevin Owens in his handcuffs completely, both men completely broken. As the Bloodline walk up the ramp and we get our title card and off we go. And end scene. It's just really, really strong stuff. Really capitalising on all of the months of the continuity of that build. And obviously, you fantasize about what could they possibly do with the whole Sami thing. Like, what does it look like when Sami Zayn is finally turned on by the Bloodline? And this kind of gets rid of... For me, this is way more interesting than villains turn on them because they're bad, which is kind of what we're used to. As in, character is told they will turn. He's like, no, they're good. But then, eventually, it happens anyway. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. So, relatively run-of-the-mill. This was entirely different. It's all built up on the dynamics of the group. As it then the character, what the character is then told to do is all about the different dynamics and how it's flowed. It all makes sense for each character for them to have reacted like they did in that moment. It's not this is the run of the mill thing you do with a faction split, where the heels have roped in a hero. This is how you do it. It's like, no. They create the dynamics and then they use those. Again, none of this is like breakthrough entertainment stuff. It's just really nice to see it in my wrestling bubble. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So, huge round of applause. I've got nothing but praise for it. But unfortunately, I do need to move on. It's one of those topics that for me, because there are lots of little things I could easily dive into, and I probably should write a column just to get it out of my system. But for me, this there's too much to talk about. I'm 20 minutes in. I need to shut up and get on with the rest of the talk about the Royal Rumble. So, let's go into it. I'm going to talk about the Royal Rumble match for the men, and then you know what? Card in order: men 3 matches, women. Or I might maybe do the 2 Rumbles back to back because they're the most important. I can blast through the 3 matches in the 2 matches in the middle. Not a lot to write home about. And yes, Alvino. For me, so I was thinking NWO in the 90s. I'm trying to think, did WWF also have a decent dynamic group thing in the 90s? I was picturing DX, but I think outside of Shawn and Triple H, there wasn't really a lot going on. Really. Like, X-Pac was there. The New Age Outlaws were over, but I don't know if I cared about the dynamic of their characters within the group and how that related to other people outside the group. They were more charismatic on the microphone. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. But yeah, I thought NWO. That's immediately what I went to. The different dynamics of the group, and yeah, it's so good. So good. Anyway, we were live in the Alamo Dome, San Antonio, Texas for Royal Rumble 2023. I don't know what number in the annual tradition this is. It's way too long. Country music man Hardy, who had done the song for this show, leads us into the hype. I'm a massive fan of the, so far, Triple H era of tying in the music for the event with like a nice little presentation. For me, that really helps with the vibe of the show, to just tie it in with the music that you have chosen for this event and present that for the lead-in for the show. I think it's a huge plus, absolutely huge plus. It makes it not feel like it's a studio selected type of thing. Like, this is the safe, marketable tune we have chosen for this event. Even if it relates or doesn't relate at all to a said event, it's marketably safe. Even if it is that, this helps kind of put a veil over it. Like, it may not necessarily be... It doesn't have to feel that kind of controlled. Like, no. It does. It can work like this. It can be fine. You can make it more naturally flow with this. Right. Also, this was for the first time ever, we saw a Royal Rumble kick off the show. It's never happened before. We've had it early in the show, but we've never had it kick it off. Which is, to be fair, they've only been doing 2 since 2018, so it's not that long a run. But never seen this before. Also, it was a Rumble where it was never going to be anyone else. But my God, what a great Final 2. It's like just absolutely elevates the entire thing. So let's go in order. Number 1, Gunther. Ooh, excellent number 1. That was my gut reaction as he's walking down the ramp. Excellent number 1. Then Sheamus comes out. What a fun first two lads this is. Just reigniting that rivalry from Cardiff. Just let the two chop the crap out of each other as we get the match underway. Number 3, bring out the guy who's least suited for that style, The Miz. Oh well. Good luck to you, lad. Miz acting distraction and trying to cheekily use his kind of wits to get better on. Paying quick comeuppance via our 2 big choppers. 4, Kofi Kingston to come out 4th. Great start with the near escape artist entering the fray. It's like, yes, I love the dynamics at play here already. Number 5, Johnny Gargano. Getting one over on Miz with his attempted elimination. Kindly setting up for Sheamus' beating drum. 23 beats. It's like, oh no. Is he this year's Daniel Puder? Oh, just getting the crap beaten out of him. A Gargano super kick and a bro kick for our first elimination. Miz is eliminated before number 6 is Xavier Woods. New Day linking up before our classic every man for themselves Rumble spot. Before swerving us into a Kofi butt pat. And I don't know what else to call that. It was like they were going to do something, they kind of ran at each other and then Kofi just went, hey, whilst Xavier Woods held him, and then Kofi just bent over, so Xavier Woods plays butt as a drum. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyway, number 7, Karrion Kross. For me, perfect number for this lad. Entertains with the big lads with some Gunter Sheamus brawlings. He's a relatively big guy that can hang the Gunter Sheamus before someone else comes in later and eliminates him. Unfortunately for Kross, that is his position. That kind of mid-card lad that you can believe can hang with those bigger main eventers for a few minutes before he gets destroyed. But for Rumble, it's perfect because he can hang for that short while after he's entered. And then a couple people later, like, comes across somebody too big. Number 8, Chad Gable. Lovely jubbly suplexes, a nice little amateur wrestling spot with Woods, a nice little tussle in the middle of the ring. Before number 9, Drew McIntyre, as it hit like biggest name so far, and at this point we're about a third of the way through the match and only 1 elimination, which is very different to what we're used to. The women did the same thing. Triple H seemingly not afraid to just pile the ring with bodies and then have sprees of eliminations further into the match, rather than what we've kind of got under the Vince era is there's normally some form of flow of people getting eliminated to try and keep your attention constantly. And sometimes you hit like a middle period of nothing. That's because it's building to something. Unless you're Shane McMahon, and Sami last year didn't understand why you do that. Let's all build to the final number 30 spot. Or I remember being so bored last year. There was nothing until Drew McIntyre came out at number 20. I like the first 2, and then it's nothing. It's just people coming out, nothing happening. Kofi's spot unfortunately didn't work out. And like compared to this year, Kofi's spot doesn't work out, but it's not the end of the world because there's so much else going on. It's fine. It's fine. Number 10. Oh, I've got to say as well, Claymore for our second elimination. Kross gets eliminated. Drew McIntyre establishes himself, uses Kross, which is why Kross was valuable in this match to kind of establish Drew McIntyre there. Number 10, Santos Escobar. Happily climbs ropes into danger like the crazy luchador is. Like, what are you doing, Santos? You're putting yourself into near elimination spots. So just don't climb there. You don't have to go. You don't have to go there. Like, you put yourself there. No one's even pushing you. Like, oh, look at me, I'm dangling. I'm dangling. Oh no. Oh, look at me over here. Don't do it. He didn't have to do that. Number 11, Angelo Dawkins. He comes out, and my immediate reaction is, yep, he's a body. They're piling up the body for something. And for me, it's almost a spoiler putting Angelo Dawkins here. It's like I read the momentum. It's like, he's the guy. As soon as he comes out, he's here to get eliminated. Brock Lesnar's next, just immediately. Before that, we unfortunately get the Kofi spot that didn't work. Just to quickly go through that. So they go for it's the gin and tonic from what are they called? The AEW team, forgotten their name. Private Party, that's it. Roll back in. However, that leads to Woods getting eliminated by Gunter, who then just charges into Woods, even though Kofi rolled back into the ring and he was fine. Kofi then is kicked off by Gunter onto the announce chair, which Woods had brought round. However, in being kicked off and having to jump and spin onto the chair, Kofi, then obviously his momentum pulls the chair down with him, and he tries to rotate and spin it round, but seemingly it's been like the camera didn't catch it clearly. I think if you on the first watch, I had no idea if his feet touched the ground, and I reckoned they could get away with just like whatever, but they decided it's not worth trying to play it off. The commentator they tried, but very quickly, obviously production maybe watched it and gone, it's not worth it. It's probably going to get quickly eliminated anyway. It's unfortunate because it's 2 years in a row the Kofi spot hasn't worked, and maybe it's just because they're now at that point where they're having to really think outside the box and become a bit too elaborate with it, and maybe what they're trying to pull off has a much higher risk chance just because they've done the stuff they know they can do. So now they're trying to up it, and the past 2 years it's just been a little too difficult. The bar a bit too high for a live show. It might be fine in practice. It's just yeah, doing it live, it's a different thing. Anyway, number 12, as I said, Angelo Dawkins came out at number 11, and immediately, well, he's there to get eliminated. Out comes the Eliminator, Brock Lesnar. I did say the bodies have been piling up. Suplex City has arrived to the Rumble. Escobar eliminated. Dawkins eliminated. Gable eliminated. A huge ovation for the Gunther and Lesnar stare down. Way bigger than the one that we got right around this corner. Even though this was the big moment, this was the kind of big thing that they're setting up for WrestleMania. The actual thing that got the reaction was Gunther and Lesnar. Not, number 13, Bobby Lashley. The big boys cometh. Look at the beef. This is not even the first time in this match. Later on in this match, it's the real beef. Dancing with Gunther cost Lesnar into a spear as Lashley enters running rampant. Lashley running huge, counters out on F5, and Brock Lesnar's eliminated. Just suddenly, there and then. And I really liked what came next. Because I like to feel the stakes. And it's not just, Brock Lesnar's in there, we make him feel big by what he does in the ring. It's like, no. His reaction to getting eliminated is also huge and telling. As number 14 is Baron Corbin. JBL sends him to his doom as an angry Lesnar rampages ringside. Steel steps slammed on the announce table and Banter Corbs clobbered and F5 before he can get into the ring. Lesnar clobbering a ref over the barricades just to really sell it. The crowd reaction to that was incredible. Before eventually making his way out. Really, really sold his annoyance at this, and you can just sense it when it was coming for Bobby Lashley. It's not good. It's not good. But also telling as well that the actual bigger reaction was for Gunther. He's the one who's gradually becoming more and more over, just a lot more naturally than Lashley is. Even though I like Lashley, but it feels like the Hurt Business thing is the actual interesting thing with him. Number 15, Seth Rollins. Halfway through, and the 2019 winner enters, tossing in Corbin to immediately eliminate the lad. Corbin eliminated. Thanks for coming. I think I'd say the only downside with having Seth Rollins enter halfway through is as soon as Seth Rollins enters, that expectation for Cody to be relatively soon just immediately set in. I'm just expecting it, just because of that tied together nature. The only person we associate Cody with is Seth, because that's the only person he's feuded with. So as soon as he comes out and you know Cody's returning because he's been a promoted aspect, that means Cody can't be that far. I think I predicted you can tease it out maybe till 20, but when it went till 30, they had to do a really good job of distracting me with other things, which to be fair they did. It's just I was like, maybe because Rollins didn't do super a lot for a period in this match. He could have swapped into a later spot, done the similar thing of then teasing it out till Cody comes out last, but Seth Rollins being here means you're then from this point on just waiting for Cody, and he's not there till the last spot. It was still, there's plenty to get you distracted. Don't you worry. You weren't just focusing on this going, where's my Cody? No, don't worry, because next is Otis. Pat building him up as the round mound of meat. That's the Otis factor got for you. Number 17, Rey Mysterio. But he doesn't come out. No, he's been hit, we assume. Seth and Lashes have a kerfuffle into a surprise elimination for the big lad. Bobby Lashes is suddenly eliminated before number 18, Dominic Mysterio. Amongst the surprise of Michael Cole calling Dom a piece of shit on commentary. McIntyre and Sheamus send the meat mound rolling, so out goes Otis. Dom just hangs around ringside for a bit before bravely stepping to Sheamus and then immediately backing off. He's got to get into the next spot. Number 19 is Elias, guitar in hand, and swings it to Gunther's back, right into a headbutt, and a brutal Claymore Bro combo. Like, Jesus. Elias eliminated, seemingly caught right in the nose with that one, but my God. Like, he had two spots, swing a guitar, catch two finishes at once, get your face pummeled in, and out you go. Like, Jesus Christ. Brutal way to go out, but he got to do his spot. That was there for. He's literally just there to swing a guitar and leave. Just, yeah. Plus, I like that because it just lets you know about the no DQ nature. Like, someone doesn't stop you to use that weapon. A cough cough women's match where Xia tried to bring in a big stick and was told no. Or Elias just went in too quickly with it. It's like, well, he's in there now. We're not going to stop him at this point, I guess. Number 20, Finn Balor flying to number 20 without surprise or return this match. Dom tries to capitalise on Finn facing Gargano to eliminate Mr. Wrestling, but gets stopped, only for an amazing dropkick from Balor. Gargano then gets eliminated. Enter number 5 was in there till 20, but didn't actually do a lot. He was there for the Miz thing, and then after that was just like eating finishes to help, or moves to make folks entering seem strong. It's like, he didn't really do a lot this Rumble, unfortunately. At number 21, can you dig it? It's Booker T. Shucky Ducky, I'm marking out, bro. Please don't understand how what's his name? Matt Striker. There we go. Well, that's what Matt Striker said. Quick clean up into a spinneroonie and quick ending of the fun by Gunther. Booker T eliminated. End of. You'll notice a little bit of a pattern from this point. It's like there's a little run where the people who enter, about 3 of the next 4 people will enter and be eliminated before the next lad comes in. Number 22, Damien Priest is not one of those people. Judgment Day now at full force as we run down the final 10 entrants. Number 23, Montez Ford. Why is it not Edge immediately after Damien Priest? Well, that's because you got Montez Ford, a lad where like a decent number for me, number 23 for someone like him. Like, for a lad I expect big things for over the next couple of years or so. And it's like, oh, he's taking on Judgment Day one at a time. He's getting to be shown to be look pretty strong, getting shown some fire. Maybe he'll last a bit further than people are expecting, only to be eliminated in due course. But eventually, within this run, numbers become too much, and he is eliminated. Montez Ford immediately chucked out. But what it's doing is it's establishing the force of Judgment Day. So that were somebody who's got some form of relation with Judgment Day, some form of anger to take out of them, were to immediately come around the corner, as soon as they've been established, you feel some weight of their elimination. Edge, number 24. Right when we've established Judgment Day's force, out comes the lad to clobber them. A trio of great spears to the lads, like each one was great. Almost Lashley-esque in their kind of dive and power. But this is a lanky Canadian man. Priest eliminated, Balor eliminated, and Edge and Rollins stare down, which got a great reaction before Dominic Mysterio tried to take advantage and chuck out Edge, who countered, but Priest and Balor pulled him over. Out goes Edge. Edge is eliminated. Dom survives to boos from the crowd. He got such great heat in this match. It's hard to not love Dom. the guy you love to hate. Number 25 is Austin Theory, who happily just waits as Edge batters Balor and Priest in the entranceway. And it's Rhea Ripley who come up as him, only for Beth Phoenix to spear the last. I was like, oh, 2 beats I really, really liked. I mean, multiple beats actually here. As to say, yeah, I like the whole segment. Austin Theory coming out, just perfectly happy, just like, you know what, I will let you finish beating those people up, Edge. Only for Rhea Ripley to run out and take Edge down. Only for Beth Phoenix to come out and take her down. And that's the kind of way that little segment ended. He set up quite a few things within that little moment. You know what I'm talking about? For me, I reckon these Rumbles will suffice really well on a rewatch compared to last year's Rumble, which is even flatter on a rematch. Like, in terms of like Rumbles to rewatch, I've put 2022 almost with the one from a decade earlier, 2012, as ones I just do not watch because they are dull and boring. 2012 is the one where there's a string in the middle of what I'll call the anti-pop. And I mean, Jimmy Uso, fortunately, I'm full of praise for Jimmy Uso on this night, but 10 years ago, 2012, when Jimmy Uso comes out in that Rumble, it is the anti-pop. As in, the absolute silence is deafening. There is no reaction whatsoever as the crowd give nothing to it. 2012 Rumble, don't watch it. It's not a good Rumble. And the only thing that might have saved it in Chris Jericho winning, instead WWE in this mindset of using the Rumble to try and make a younger guy, when in reality, the person, Chris Jericho got a title shot. Like, you can give it to him. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Anyway, Austin Theory finally makes his way down to the ring. Number 26 is Omos, our big boy cometh. A couple of slams and quickly into our big lad clash with a choke slam to Gunther. Establish his strength because number 27 is Braun Strowman. Speaking of big lads, plenty of beefy boys in this Rumble. Exchanging said beef with Omos and lining the man out. Omos is eliminated. Perfect Omos. But Strowman has a relation with the next guy coming out, which he can play with in the final run of people relatively well. It's Ricochet, his tag team partner, who gives it a go but gets caught amongst a few big lads. McIntyre and Sheamus double banger bros to Braun. Gunther trying to sneak Drew out, but Shamu's stiff knee stops that, and they continue to fight. But Drew's desire to save Sheamus ends up costing them both. If he just let Gunther eliminate Sheamus, McIntyre would have been perfectly safe, but he put himself in danger. What a shame. Sheamus and McIntyre both eliminated by Gunther. Number 29, Logan Paul. Surprise entrant to resounding boos for the surprise late entrant. And again, an absolute dick. An absolute tool. But his buckshot lariat is really good. He has no right to be that good. It's like, this guy's an absolute prick. But he gets wrestling. I cannot deny that. Quickly finding himself clobbered up against the big lads. A monster slam, shooting star from Ricochet. And down goes Logan Paul as the field kind of settles for number 30. Cody Rhodes. Huge ovation for the returning American Nightmare. A Rumble seemingly built entirely around him. And I wrote that note during his entrance. The giveaway, the pyro. I think that at least I think Bobby Lashley got pyro, Brock Lesnar got pyro. Like, he wasn't the only one, but he is the only one who would be in that ring with that pyro. Nobody else in that ring kind of felt like a potential winner. Out comes Cody. This scene was set for him. They also use it to make some other stars and moments. A great heat for Dom doing the Three Amigos. Crossroads counter and out goes the trash. That was a lovely little moment. Logan Paul and Ricochet with an incredible, I called it a Superman collision, like a superhero collision as they both fly into each other and kaput. I was like, my God, like, I don't know what I was expecting. In my head, they were both going to go for a drop kick and miss, or I go for something and they just kind of cross each other's paths. I was not expecting both men to perfectly time springboarding right into each other and just splat. It's like, just an incredible, maybe the superhero splat. I don't know what else to call it. Oh, damn, that was an absolutely amazing spot. Easily spot of the match. It's like, oh, wow. Incredible reaction. Anyway, not long for this world. It's time to leave the pool. Unsurprisingly, out goes Ricochet. Shortly following that, you've done your big moment, out you pop. Logan Paul falls to ringside to recover himself. So both men were taken out for a bit after that one. But that is the reason why Logan Paul comes in for a surprise elimination later, because he do that amazing spot and then the attention turns to Ricochet going out. Also, Braun Strowman is eliminated. Hell of a stomp to Austin Theory. Cody clobbers him out. Theory eliminated. And then we're finally down to our final three as it's hyped by commentary. Gunther, Cody and Seth Rollins left in the ring. Cough, cough to somebody at ringside. Cody hitting... the dynamic between these three was great. Cody hitting Gunther with a pedigree to a great reaction as Rollins watches on. Gunther passes at this moment Rey Mysterio's Rumble length record. Great for him, and we hadn't even gotten to the final stretch of Cody versus Gunther, which was incredible. Cody and Seth having a great back and forth before a sudden Logan Paul runs back in. Seth Rollins eliminated. Surely a WrestleMania match set up in Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Like, well, if you're going to get someone to have the best possible match with Paul, Seth Rollins is certainly your man. He is the trusted guy to wrestle the WWE style at the best he can. Yeah, you do this. But that leads, obviously, into Logan Paul getting himself chucked out by Cody. And our final two, Gunther, number 1, and number 30, Cody Rhodes. And oh damn, so watching this I was like, oh yeah, Gunther is the perfect lad for Cody to have to fight through to win this match as he chops the F off of his just recovered pec. It's like, oh, of course, every single chop is going to swell up that exact area that we saw turn purple. That's a really, really smart decision. A running boot goes awry for the big man though, but a straight punch just keeps him alive in a great final two. Gunter turning Cody's pec back to dark red, like with the force of his chops. Oh, good God. The Nightmare waking up and firing in the face of the ring general. Shattered Dreams kicking Gunter to dust to an amazing reaction. A surprising amount of time for these final two. As I said, Gunter had already set the record, and they just keep going with this. A big, powerful dropkick from Gunter. Powerbomb with force, and Cody survives as Gunter passes 1 hour and 10 minutes into our final minute stretch. Cody on the outside, Gunter with a sleeper, dragging Gunter over, and he's like, oh, this is like the Benoit-esque big man elimination. Nope, it's not enough. Gunter back in, and Cody goes to jump off of the corner, only to be chopped out of the air. It's like, well, how do you eliminate Gunter? Like, what is Cody gonna do at this moment? Gunter feeling so powerful. But out of the lift and into a crossroads, the returning star swings and bang, out topples the record-setting Austrian. Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble. It's like, oh, such a great final two. Truly elevating the entire match. A Rumble, for me, a Rumble that, more than anything, is set to showcase the current talent over, waiting for the pops. Because I guess one problem is, if you don't use this to also build stuff within the whole of your card, and you just use this to set WrestleMania main event, and then the rest of it is just playing off current dynamics a little bit, with the main draw being the pops. You're just waiting for a form of pop for a form of moment. This was doing a lot of other work, which will really, really come to fruition over the course of the road to WrestleMania. He set up a lot of stuff. Also, not forgetting that the thing I was really happy with by the end of it was Cody Rhodes was established as the winner, but the guy who came second broke the record for the Rumble amount of time in the ring, and also is your Intercontinental Champion with Fight, who had an amazing stare down reaction with Brock Lesnar of all people. A lot of work was done to make Gunter feel like a huge deal, which is massive because he's the Intercontinental Champion. He's your next guy to enter the main event scene, and it feels like this road to WrestleMania is going to do a lot to establish Gunter as a top guy. And this was the first match. So, yes. Well done. Well, yeah. All of a round of applause. Massive, massive fan of this match. I don't know where I rank it yet. So I feel like my favourite Rumbles, it's quite a tight kind of fit for anyone to get into there. I'm a massive fan of 2018, of 2001. I really like 2002 as well. Also, I get 2008 is obviously ranked very highly by people. I really enjoyed 2010. I don't think that's that interesting actually. I didn't need to bring that one up. 2020, that's what I'm trying to remember. 2020 is also really strong in there. It's very difficult to get in there, but for me this is a really, really good Royal Rumble match. Well done, lads. Well done. Mostly because of the final two. The final stretch. I think it's from the point that Logan and Ricochet do that moment where they collide into each other. From that moment, it's such a strong match, and it doesn't let down. It's booked so well. Even if it does, the first 20 doesn't have any surprises. It's just lads coming out. And the only surprise really is Bobby Lashley eliminating Brock Lesnar. Aside from that, there aren't any surprises. But do you need any surprises? Do you need them if you instead use this match to showcase your current talent, mostly to the positive help for it? So yeah, I think I'm a big fan of this match. Depends what you want from a Rumble. Depends what you like from a Rumble. If you're there for the pops, this wasn't a pop-heavy match. But if you're there for the multiple dynamics of all the different wrestlers there, this one's a lot stronger. I mean, obviously, the one I'm mentally immediately comparing it to is last year. And last year had none of it. In the middle of it got the first two entrants and AJ Shinsuke, awesome. Then absolutely nothing for 17 entrants. In this match, there was a lot going on with the different kind of dynamics between all the different guys all the way through the match. So really, really positive notes. I'm going to take a sip of water because the next topic is the exact opposite. I'm not near the microphone, so I can't ASMR it. Mountain Dew, it's time. Mountain Dew pitch black match. I'll quickly bash through this in the Raw Women's title match. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. Bray's big in-ring return. Sponsored by Black Colouring Radioactive Piss. The Stephanie McMahon quote of "We do brand integration better than anyone else." I was like, yes. The Pizza Battle Royal. Yes, the zombie match. And adding to the list of sponsored bullshit, the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Dear. Like, as soon as my immediate reaction, oh god, even the ring is sponsored with a Mountain Dew thing in the middle, and the lights around the ring are all Mountain Dew purple lights scattered all over. I was like, oh god, like CEOs at Mountain Dew are going to be so happy with this, but it's also bullshit. It's a unique atmosphere, but heavily, like never before have I. Like, in terms of like Bray Wyatt is definitely unique. Never before have I seen somebody trying to do their like serious kind of building of their layered monster character, whilst shone all around in Mountain Dew deep purple, like in the middle of a laser quest with all the neon lights. It's like, what is this? It's so strange. We'll say Bray's face paint glow in the dark looked absolutely amazing. Easily, for me, the best thing about this match was his face paint. I loved it. I was in awe of it. Good stuff. Not sure about anything else for me. Glowing neon green ropes, neon polystyrene stuff spraying about, so that when there was a spot on the announce table, that the crowd were able to see like a big explosion of something. Because of course it's in the dark, they can't really tell there. It played off the cameras relatively well. Like LA Knight's glowing trunks and his glow in the dark kendo stick. Like, yeah, there were things to help with the TV stuff and to kind of help with the audience there, but it was less of a pitch black match and more of a sponsored purple neon sludge. I guess. Don't know what it's like there live, but I would say on camera it was sponsored neon sludge match more than anything. Well, at least it was short. Sister Abigail for the win, but it was the after match. That was the real Wyatt Law time. Oh, I know it's not a phrase everybody loves. For me, at one point, I was massively positive on it. However, that was during the Vince era, where very quickly realised that he has no ability to keep up the continuity of this character, and very quickly just became Spooky Monster. It's like, oh, that's a shame. He was promising, or no, he was threatening to be layered. He was threatening to be a character with continuity. And when he started changing people's characters, I called him the continuity demon, putting all the people back together again. It's just like, or the Humpty Dumpty continuity demon. It's just, if for WWE, just had no continuity at the time, but now they've got it, so you don't need to do that. Anyway, putting a mask on to slowly transform after the mask into this monster type thing. No selling kendo stick shots into a production area when an Addams Family style kind of laid out night faces the whole family. Uncle Howdy diving from 15 feet up high to a huge pyro explosion crash. Wyatt watching on as the Funhouse puppets come to life, watch on from above. And there's your Wyatt Law. If that stuff's for you, there you go. Enjoy. Anyway, Raw Women's Championship. I'm moving on. Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. You thought we were done with Wyatt Law. Partly one part why I'm moving on. It's because we're not done. The match itself, decent little match that did the job, but never really managed to draw the crowd in. And the main event for me is a great example of they did have the energy to care. They just didn't find it for this match. Popping for the KOD win, but not much else. I like to call these simmering matches because it's like we know they can go further, they can do more, but they never get out of first gear, and it ends way before they get a chance to kick it up. It's kind of just pedaling along, showing what they can do, kind of teasing about a bit. It's like the first 10-15 minutes of a New Japan match, but they end it before they kick anywhere. Where in the New Japan match it's like, well, that's the end of Act 1, there are 3 more acts, this will go for 50 minutes. You're here for the long haul, guys. It's like, no, we're going to stay in first gear, and then we're just going to do a quick little sequence to escalate into the finish, and you'd be like, oh, okay, it's over. Right, okay, yeah. Which is a shame, because I massively rate Bianca Belair. This was obviously not it. Bright side, if we're getting Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, she gets her showcase at WrestleMania. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Bianca Belair seems to shine on the WrestleMania stage. Anyway, after the match, a quick Firefly video plays at Alexa, and in response she pulls a scared, grumpy face, and we swiftly move on. If you like your Wyatt Law, you'll love that. Full of Wyatt Law nonsense. Which, what's it teasing? I guess one difference is, under the Vince era, when it started teasing stuff, you had absolutely no faith it was going anywhere. It's more, you had more in the thing of, there's a little bit of like a little tease for something because it feels spooky, but then they don't really do anything else. I've got an error, I'm just going to check. Apparently I've done a stream smoothing. So, oh well. What a shame. I've accidentally minimised all my notes as well. Alright, let's get to the Women's Rumble match. Not a good time to minimise my notes, because we're going to end on this. I can go to bed. This is taking way too long. Oh god, I came close to having a guest. Boy, am I glad I didn't. I've got to get to bed. So the Women's Royal Rumble match is what we're ending on. And again, quick notes before I go into the not beat for beat, but we'll go through the entrance. I'm massively positive on this match. Not only just because the person who I picked, who I wanted to win, did win, but also because I really enjoyed the flow of this one. They managed the flow of like favourites being within the match and getting eliminated throughout the kind of flow of it. They managed that really well with your surprise entrance as well, with the normal people too. Like, for me, this was a really well managed Rumble, even though it's not like the strongest Rumble you've ever watched, but in terms of what they have, for me it's a really well managed one, and it stays entertaining and fun throughout it as well, which is for me a massive sign, because we've seen in past Women's Rumble matches, even the Becky one, the flow kind of stutters a little bit. 2020 as well, the kind of momentum of it stalls a little bit at times. Well, for me with this one, they managed the flow of it really well. So, a very nerdy reason to enjoy it. But that was my immediate thought as I'm watching it. I knew I'm going to do this, obviously, so I'm not watching it for just pure enjoyment. So, Rhea Ripley's number one, and she was my pick to win. I didn't feel confident. I was like, oh damn, my favourite has just entered number one. Well, my pick does not look good. Not looking good for my pick. Liv Morgan, number two. Liv gets her wish. She was campaigning to be in number one or number two spot. The crazy lass. Former tag partners kicking us off though, so that dynamic works really well. Dana Brooke, number three. Amazing ability to enter the Royal Rumble looking like a completely different human being to last year. I don't know how she does it. Maybe it's because I don't watch WWE routinely enough, like the TV, to follow the progression of Dana Brooke. Or because she's been involved in 24/7 stuff, which even if I am watching, I'll wind through. So maybe I've not seen her year of progression to when I see her in the Rumble. Like, oh, yep, you're a different version of this human being. Every time I see it. Number four, Emma. At this point in the Rumble, we're just kind of getting the bodies into... Because Triple H's not afraid to just bring in the bodies for then other people to eliminate a bit more en masse later on. Not afraid to do that right from the get-go. Because, again, in this one, it wasn't until number 7 until we got an elimination. And then it's not until, like, number 10 after till we get another one. Perfect time to hold them back. You can do different dynamic stuff instead of using the elimination to keep people's attention. Anyway, number 4 is Emma. Genuinely, my first time seeing Emma since she's returned to WWE. Starts the teaming up on Hoss Ripley with the other two. And it's that nice little thing where the three of them were trying to... They realised Ripley was a threat and they kind of teamed together to start to tackle that. Until number 5, Shayna Baszler. Number 30 kind of breaks up the dynamic a little bit. Number 6, Bayley, the first NXT Horsewoman of the night. Hope's immediately put in danger as she steps right into an oblivion and near elimination scare. She was also one of my people to pick to have a really strong performance, but I was like, oh god, immediately. that was a really good kind of swerve to have her almost immediately thrown out. Number 7, semi-surprise for B-Fab. Cole using this moment to immediately rag on Top Dollar. This is his most recent constant gimmick. Just whenever they come out, he's just going to rib on Top Dollar every single time. Flowing with some style before meeting Ripley's headbutt and quick first elimination. Blood. I thought Ripley busted her nose, and then she also had blood on the cheek as well after eliminating B-Fab, looking like the beast she is. Number 8, Roxanne Perez, your NXT Women's Champion. Rasida's own Rana's round Ripley to ovation. And that's a nice little spot. She got a really good shine before her untimely demise. But for me, that's what I want from an NXT person. They're there as the inexperienced person with loads of potential, so have them perform super well on Impact. But then when the danger comes, they obviously don't. They're not equipped to handle it. So yeah, fine, perfect booking for Roxanne in this match. Number 9, here comes the damage. Dakota Kai damage control at 2/3 as their danger is immediately sensed by the other women, and they split up Bayley and Dakota Kai to different corners to beat on them. It's like, oh, they're using logic in this Royal Rumble. We're just so used to people enter and it just feels random. Even Rumbles are like in 2010. There's not really much logic to why somebody ends up in a different corner beating someone else. But in this match, like, no. Like, it's entirely purposeful. As soon as Dakota Kai enters, the other people keep Bayley and Kai apart from each other because they know they're partners and together they can work together and be more dangerous. Like, oh, it's a little thing. You just don't see it in Rumbles a lot. Maybe from here on out it'll be something that we see more routinely, and I'm just used to Vince not even thinking about it. Anyway, speaking of teams, Io Sky, out she comes at number 10, and immediately up to the power of 3, reference charmed. Sky swings the match in the trio's favour, Dana saving Emma from the 3, but immediately paying the price. Dana Brooke eliminated. Also, that's I assume a quick little reference to Dana and Emma teaming up for a little bit in NXT in a tag team I really enjoyed. Emma was the star. Never would have thought who would be employed with the company longer. Dana Brooke eliminated, quickly followed by Emma anyway. Emma eliminated. Roxanne Perez nearly off the back of that snagging Kai out, but the trio fire back and out goes the promising NXT star. She flew too close to the sun, the inexperienced NXT star. Out goes Roxanne Perez. For number 11, Natalya, equipped with her beret and shades in a unique look. That is literally all of my notes for her. I do not know what that ensemble was. At number 12, Candice LeRae, the latest to give her try at tackling damage control. She's been obviously fighting with them with Mia Yim. It comes the closest yet, but back in the ring immediately met by a Baszler knee, where the dangers of the multi-person rumble shows their face. Like, if you're trying to do one thing, someone can just capitalise on that and just take you down. Baszler and Natalya, though, dance dangerously before damage control capitalise and eliminate them both. Natalya, Baszler and her beret immediately eliminated. Number 13, Zoe Stark, our second impressing NXT hopeful. Great kicks, landed like an oof to Ripley off an impressive rolling springboard thing. I was like, oh, that looked really cool. Looked like it stunk for Ripley. So give her a minute to get her breath back. Yeah, Zoe Stark, really, it's one of those entrances that kind of then kept her going for the remainder of her Rumble run. Like, yeah, she was impressive enough that she left a mark. Number 14, Jia Lee. She can't take in her big stick, but Elias was allowed his big guitar. Why can't she take the stick? Why is she not allowed the stick? Elias was just rude and just didn't ask. He just jumped right in whilst Jia Lee was slowly going up the stairs and gave her a chance. It's like, you're not allowed to take this stick in, but if you do use it, we won't disqualify you. So why can't she take the stick? Anyway, she didn't need the stick. Her legs were weapons enough. Running fire until damage control extinguished that fire once again. Candice LeRae facing the end of her flame too as the trio eliminates her. Ready in time. Again, the exact same tactic from the men's match. You establish the trio right in time for the person who's going to take them out. Number 15, Becky Lynch. A big pop for the biggest star in the match at the time. The exact last to take down the dominating heel faction. Instead of doing exactly what carbon copy that we've seen in the men's with their Judgment Day and Edge, instead they all brawl over ringside and the numbers game wins out as Becky is tossed over the announce table. Meaning, instead of getting what we got with Edge coming and immediately in that sequence you get everybody involved eliminated and brawling away, you have the trio win, defeat Becky Lynch, and then Becky Lynch returns later for revenge, so the trio get even more time to dominate and I feel like more of a threat in the match. Number 16, Tegan Nox. The girl with the shiniest wizard immediately entering with a Monaco round to poor Rhea Ripley. Poor lass. And teaming up with Liv to nail the Shining Wizard. I forgot that they teamed. That was the thing. Number 17, Asuka. With new music and a massive pop for her return. The crowd were really excited to see her return. And even better, she's got a new mask on. And I was like, new music, new mask. Is she going to have the different face paint on? Because there were the hints of we could be seeing a more Kana-like Asuka. The slightly evil, more evil side. The spirit within her, not quite as awesome mum, I guess, which was her vibe before that. No. You don't mess with Kana. She will kill you. And it's evil Asuka for me, Kana finally showing her true face in WWE. This version of Asuka we have not seen in this company. You've seen her work in Stardom, you have, but no, if you've watched this, if she's allowed to reign with the freedom that she might be, then we might be in for a hell of a ride. It kind of feels like in NXT, as she was they made her PG friendly. This is finding a way to dance that line and actually get Kana on WWE TV. We'll see how it goes. The ring stops in awe for a second, a near elimination to Bayley, but it's Nox who ends up getting clobbered out of the ring instead. Speaking of returns, number 18 is Piper Niven. The stupid Vince nickname is dead. Thank God. Triple H just taken her off TV and taking the time to then return her as Piper Niven. Nailed it. Done. Don't even need to change the theme. Just change the name and the way she presents herself, holds herself as a character. Problem solved. Yeah. Speaking of proper debuts on the main roster, just let Piper be Piper. Just let her be a dominant arse kicker. Damn it. Let her do that. And then out comes the person for her to kick. At number 19, Tamina, a fellow hoss for Niven to stare down. On commentary, I think Pac was just like, oh, a dream match here. It's like, I don't think anyone, like, no disrespect, but I don't think anybody has gone, oh, Piper Niven versus Tamina. Now that is a dream match. It's a hoss match. Like that. Yeah. Pat McAfee was on a overhype ball of something. Quickly moving on to Becky finally entering the ring. You had to stare down and then focus quickly shifts. Becky's back in the ring, guys. Here's what you can focus on. And builds a bit of excitement for number 20. It's Chelsea Green returning to a great reaction to WWE. And for the second time is immediately eliminated. Her luck does not improve. Again, because I've recently rewatched Rumbles, I remembered she did the same thing in her, which was in NXT, with Robert Stone comes out and there's a bit of hype, there's a decent reaction, and she's just immediately tossed out. So I don't mind this because it echoes her last Rumble appearance, and then she got called up, got injured, and then was caught up in the nonsense releases. So for me, for this, better luck. As in, maybe just do what you were going to do. Just have another run at it. We got the faith of the Triple H consistency, at least, to try and run whatever angle it was going to be. Let's run with this. Her luck does not improve. Lynch running fire over damage control. That quick elimination then gives you time for this whole sequence to play out. Dakota Kai eliminated by Becky Lynch. Io Sky follows shortly after. Bayley taking advantage to strike. Bayley is eliminated. Bayley takes time to strike. Becky Lynch is eliminated. Like, oh god, she's done it. Bayley is the one to survive. That's awesome. Yes, I got Bayley picked to do relatively well. No, out she goes. Liv Morgan with a surprise final elimination of the sequence. Lynch and damage control all out in one quick swoop. This is what I mean. Like, Triple H is not afraid to absolutely hold on to people and then eliminate 4 people within one quick swoop. Then he's slowly bringing everybody else to then slowly do it again. Yeah. Very different vibes to the Rumbles I've been used to. At 21 is Zelina Vega. Immediately with a code red to Ripley. Poor lass. Poor Rhea Ripley. Before being put over by Piper, surviving, and having a really unique Street Fighter fight with Jia Lee on the apron. Because their thought was, well, and that scenario where it's almost like the 2D plane, like the fighting games, and you can have little kicks at each other, like people are pressing them. But really nice, unique sequence that. Really enjoyed a little bit of it. Anyway, that led to Jia Lee getting eliminated because her kicks weren't as good. 22, Raquel Gonzalez. A decent pop for that homegirl. Semi-run of dominance as she tosses folk about. Because I've not been a massive fan of the Raquel Gonzalez presentation on SmackDown, but a lot of that is to do with before Triple H was in power, and a lot of the little decisions and character changes to the Raquel Gonzalez character, which they've tried to hone a little bit, but the women's division on SmackDown it's not strong. It really isn't. She needs a much stronger cast around her to kind of capitalise on it. Number 23, Michin Mia Yim definitely avoids the arrival flurry until Piper clobbers her. Next entrant, 24, Lacey Evans. Her latest new gimmick leaning on her military background in a baddie way compared to the Vince where they tried to lean on it in a hero of America way. But she just got a natural unlikableness to her. So for me, arguably, this is her most natural role to date. Because her lady presentation from before was It was more theatrical, I guess. It is. Well, this feels like a lot more of a natural role for her. Number 25, Michelle McCool, shown in the front row earlier, and she's still there. She takes off her jacket, hops the barricade, and enters the match. Like, certainly a unique Rumble entrance there. The Elimination Beast strikes again. Michelle McCool holds the record for the most eliminations in the Women's Rumble. And here she comes again, eliminating Tamina with a kick, and off she pops. Michelle McCool, you fear her in these Rumbles. You fear her. Number 26, Indy Hartwell, our third NXT talent of the night, had a decent little showing. 27, Sonya Deville. It's been 22 years, but lucky number 27 is going to have to wait another year. So no one's won from any other number more than number 27. It's 2001. 22 years. I honestly thought this was the perfect year to have Cody enter 27, but I don't know who enters 30. Because in my head, in my own personal booking, because you look at the guys in it, you can do your own little booking, just give it a go. Because I enjoy Rumbles a lot. I think I had gone to 30. He's your big beast for him. Essentially, I have the same final two, but I booked it so differently. It's not even close. I was contemplating for the idea of what if The Rock isn't there, how would I do it? And for me, my big horse was Gunter, but instead they really made him like a withstanding presence in it. I'm not meant to be talking about that one. Talk about the women. Sonya Deville, she eliminates Zoe Stark, trying to make her presence known before she has a lovely little sequence with Asuka. Just the one kind of asterisk on there, it's a commentary is talking about Sonya Deville being undeserving. Her current arc is that she's constantly pestering Charlotte Flair to get a championship match. But as they're saying that she's an undeserving kind of character for status to try and get a championship match or whatever, whilst they're saying that, she's having a lovely sequence where she's stepping toe to toe with Asuka. And I'm just like, but which one is it then? Either she's an undeserving competitor that doesn't have it in her to stand up to the actual task of being a competitor on that level, or she can hang with Asuka. It can't be both. You can't have both at the same time. They don't complement each other. They don't fit. Anyway, Lacey Evans chokes out Vega and dumps her like a sack of potatoes. Oof, Zelina eliminated. Number 28, Shotzi in her little tank, and doing well not to immediately go back out. Indy does not survive as competently though. Out goes Indy Hartwell. Number 29, Nikki Cross charging out with an hilarious expression on her face. Really good reaction. After a spell of sanity, Crazy Mary shows her face in Cross once again. Doesn't really do anything. She's in the final four somehow. Number 30, a surprise return for Nia Jax. A surprise return which was a little bit even more surprising because her music plays and everything, all the graphics go off before the countdown even displays or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, number 30, and commentators just... For me, they covered it really well because it's almost like you've done a time jump. It's the best way to put it. Like you've accidentally pressed the skip button on a video. It's like you just skipped the 10 countdown, then it just continued from the script from when she would have entered. Just, yeah, compensate for it really well. Just want to give that a little nod. Receiving the big attention, turning response from everybody in the ring. Like, huh? The old time around Team Nia Jax. I was like, oh damn. Girl's about to be booked strong. Every last turns to try and take her down. She powers them all off. All of the all-comers gone away. Ripley struggles to hit the riptide on her, but it's needed for the Jax elimination spot. So second time lucky, and all 11 women team up to make sure she's out. Yes, that's right. As I said, Triple H completely unafraid to just stack the ring with competitors. We enter past number 30 with 11 people in the match. You just don't see that. Or if number 30 enters in the Vince era, number 30 then eliminates a whole bunch of people, so you're down to single figures very quickly. This was no. They eliminated number 30, so we've got a whole 11 people in the ring to slowly take each other out. It was a really unique dynamic we've not seen before, which I really valued. Anyway, Raquel Gonzalez is the first to strike as she takes out the misinformation spreader. Lacey Evans eliminated off you pop. Asuka fights off Gonzalez, ending up on the apron with Sonya. Kick fights! Devil loses to Kickmaster Kana, and off she topples. Sonya is eliminated. Ripley strikes to the front row last Michelle McCool. Put your jacket back on and walk like 5 feet to your seat. Another quick double as Shotzi crashes out and Piper launches Michin on top of her. Mia with a very quick, oh, you okay? Crashes on down onto Shotzi. A proper Beal of an elimination. Great to make. I forgot her name, Piper Niven. The only one in my head was the crap name. Yeah, sending her crashing. Great spot. Raquel also tosses out with a big host moment. Out goes Piper. Also, great spot after that between Ripley and Gonzalez, toppling over but having their unique little hoss fight on the apron. Raquel is eliminated. Ripley only just survives, and out goes Raquel. It felt like one of those where it's almost like a roll of the dice once they're both over, and Ripley just happened to get it right. Back in she goes. I really like having that feeling of dynamic in there. Yeah, as soon as that bit's over, Nikki Cross is in trouble as Liv charges back in, Cross eliminated, and the commentary were building up a final four, but Cross eliminated so quickly that the final three was really when it felt like we're at the end part of this match. So these are your proper final three. You've got Evil, Kana, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley, the favourite beforehand, and Liv, who was fighting to go coast to coast, and has managed to do it. Final three: Ripley, Asuka, and Liv, and entering another unique moment with all three on the apron. Asuka going for the mist. Rhea ducks and Liv is completely blinded for the final two. Rhea taking down Asuka, and we are down to Liv and Ripley, both on the apron, but Liv is also blind, kind of blindly feeding her way and managing to knock Ripley into her dangling feet off the apron, which Ripley sold really well. He looked great. Liv is in the advantage position, but she also can't really see and is having to feel her way. And her having to feel her way when she gets to Ripley is enough for Ripley to then react into and to head scissor her off the apron. Like, oh, yeah, it was one of those where she's got like a half-second speed advantage because Liv has to feel, then go for it. And in terms of that little gap, that's enough for Ripley to react. Yeah, really, really like that. Really strong. Rhea Ripley wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Ripley goes the distance in easily one of the best Women's Rumble matches. It's right up there. I guess I hold 2021 was my favourite, but because it's not in front of a crowd, that really hurts it. It's the only thing. I really enjoy it. From Billie Kay with her with her CV, showing it off to everybody to get them in. From that all the way to the three-person ending with Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. That's for me my favourite booked women's match. It's the Thunderdome era. I hate it. I hated it at the time. I find it really difficult to go back and watch anything from that era. So for me, I might rate this number one. It's got a very different vibe from the others. It's kind of like we have competently established ourselves now. We're just going to book a strong Rumble. Yeah, and of course the right person won, which is the thing with the thing they got right. Because when we talk about 2019, I'm not a massive fan of the Seth Rollins one, but you come out of it going, they got both winners right. So when you come out of the night, like you don't complain too much. It's like yeah, both of them were great. I mean the men's with the Walter stuff, Walter Cody at the end. My God, Ripley goes the distance, and from all the way from number one, so you got those stats in there as well. The Triple H immediately using his reign to establish some stats in his era. Gunter breaking the record. Ripley going the distance number one for the first time in the women's match. Really strong stuff. The women's offering was a really fun match with a really incredibly fun final run, especially the final three with their unique way they decided to end it. 100% they were correct winners in both matches. Both the predicted winners, but that's mostly because they also should be, and that's not always a bad thing. And I feel that's quite a good that kind of note to end on. Like in terms of like, oh, you saw this coming. It's like, well, it's more that they kind of been building to it, and it's the thing that should then happen. I remember AEW is kind of the first company that kind of brought in this era of building like this, where you get this slight kind of reaction of, oh, well, I'm not surprised because I was expecting that to happen. Well, yeah, but they built it and tried to get you invested in the thing happening by telling you they were going to do the thing. We're building to this thing. They couldn't have, in hindsight, they couldn't have been more explicit that Cody was going to win. Like, here's the Triple H return hopeful promos that we're doing for Cody. He is winning this match. He was winning this match. It's basically what they were telling the entire time. Yeah. But also, the final segment after the World title match, I'm so in on the melodrama, and seemingly the whole crowd is as well. To see a crowd that big react that strongly to melodrama stuff proves they're doing it so right. Proves they are onto something here. And where it goes next, they've set that up really well. What happens in terms of Jay, what happens in terms of Sami and Kevin, in terms of Sami and Roman. I assume Kevin kind of fades a bit into being more Sami's friend than he does Roman's pure enemy. The dynamics will still be there, but because that helps shift as well, where the title kind of interest changes to Roman and Cody. Because you can do Roman versus Sami in Montreal, but it doesn't have to be for the title. Unless you can make it so just to get the Montreal crowd involved. It doesn't have to be. Anyway, that brings me to the end of the review. It is about 7 a.m. My eyes are so blurry. I'm proud I was able to read all of my kind of notes to get through all the thing. Yeah, really enjoyable Royal Rumble show, which is great to say after last year's bullshit. It's good to know that the people backstage were like, "What is this bullshit?" And Vince got so angry at Shane. He's practically done with the company now. He was like, yeah. He ruined the Rumble match, held it hostage like he was high on cocaine. It's crazy stuff. But now we're able to enjoy a well-booked Rumble, which is purposely building for the rest of the road to WrestleMania as well. It accomplished so much. And I feel like they're going to do really well on a rewatch now that you're not watching going, oh, who's going to be the next entrant? I hope it's a surprise. Like, you don't have that feeling in you. Like, you know what happens. And I feel like Rumbles like these that are full of stuff happening, they age a hell of a lot better than the, 2011, for example, which has got two huge surprise returns. But it just doesn't... It's not the best one to watch back. Anyway, that is the end of the review. What do you make of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll try and get into the stuff. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at the Diamond Cat. That's Dam as in Dam on Twitch. The implications with wrestling headlines on Twitter at Russell Headlines, and on Facebook for wrestling headlines for all your latest wrestling news. With that, I say thank you for watching, liking, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated, never taken for granted. And with that, I bid you adieu. Adios.